Good evening. Please turn your phones off. Welcome to the November 3rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Eureka Springs Historic District Commission. I'm Dee Bright, Chairman, and I'll ask our Secretary, Steve Hollifield, to do roll call.
Marty Cogan's absent with notice. Maggie Hayde.
Here.
Judy Holden.
Here.
Randy Maddox.
Here.
And Kyle Palmer.
Here.
We have a quorum for business. The Eureka Springs Historic District Commission is empowered by the Eureka Springs Municipal Code to issue a certificate of appropriateness for alterations of exterior architectural features, demolition, and new construction within the boundaries of the Eureka Springs Historic District. The HDC uses Eureka Springs Historic District guidelines and the U.S. Department of Interior standards for the rehabilitation of historic buildings as the basis for our decisions. The Commission can take the following actions on an application: approval with modifications, denial, or defer for more information. Appeal of denial may be made to the Circuit Court. Public comments will be heard on each agenda item as it is called. Other public comments are best addressed to the City Council. Okay. Are there any changes or additions to our agenda tonight? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as it appears?
I move we approve the agenda as listed here.
Second.
Steve made the motion. Maggie seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We have no old business. New business, Level 2, 145 Mill Hollow, deck addition, removal of wooden bridge. Level 3, 3 Dairy Hollow Court, new construction of single-family residence. So, 145 Mill Hollow Road. Do we have someone here for this? Could you come to the mic and state your name and address, please?
Mike Breedlove, 4 Crystal Terrace, Eureka Springs.
Okay. Kylie will read you information.
The residence at 145 Mill Hollow Road is a non-historic single-family home constructed in 1990. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the removal of a non-historic wooden bridge and the addition of an 8-foot by 20-foot wooden deck to the front porch, which will extend out from porch level. As designed, the deck will have a wooden railing along the 20-foot creek side only. In evaluating the request for alterations at 145 Mill Hollow, staff makes the following findings of fact. The property is non-historic and non-contributing, constructed in 1990. The bridge is also non-historic and severely deteriorated, as you can see in photos in your packet. The proposed deck is located on the front of the home, but is set back from public right-of-way and separated by a creek. Visual impact of this proposed deck from the public right-of-way would be minimal due to street-side vegetation and landscaping. The deck is designed at ground level, and the proposed dimensions are appropriately scaled to the house and yard. Staff recommend approval of this agenda item.
We have a motion so we can discuss.
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 145 Mill Hollow Road as proposed.
Second.
Judy made the motion. Steve seconded. Discussion? Questions?
So the back of your house is just a hillside, right?
Yeah, there's a bluff. There's a bluff within like 6 foot of the back of the house. There is a deck there, but it goes up on the hillside and gives you a basic view of the top of the house.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you, guys.
Hold it, sir, I'll give you your certificate here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next one is 3 Dairy Hollow. Do we have somebody here?
Yes, my name is Tom Buford. I live at 32 Dogwood Ridge. Mr. Billings owned the property at 3 Dairy Hollow. However, he's agreed to sell me this property as part of a 1031 tax-free exchange, which we cannot close until next year. So I've been doing the paperwork, getting ready to buy the property next year. That's why I'm here instead of Mr. Billings.
Okay. And Kylie's going to read you the information.
The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the new construction of a single-family home that is 44 feet in length and 24 feet in width, with a front sloping shed roof that is 8 feet at front to 10 feet at the rear. It will be clad in hardy cedar mill siding with a wood grain texture. The applicant is requesting R-lock metal roofing, but will also accept asphalt shingle if the commission finds R-lock inappropriate. In evaluating the request for new construction, staff makes the following findings of fact. The proposed new construction is visually distinct from the district's historic resources, but is appropriate in scale and proportion for this non-historic neighborhood. Staff recommend approval of this agenda item.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 3 Dairy Hollow Road as proposed or amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
So when we talk about roofs, I never get it quite straight. So flat panel, okay? So I'm looking right at Steve.
We want shingles.
Yeah.
We want shingles.
Is the preferred roof material lap panel, or is it true standing seam?
True standing seam.
True standing
It is true
seam.
standing seam? Okay.
Flat panel, and I think the flat panel is the R-lock system.
Wait, I thought this was R-lock.
This is R-lock, which is, I think, is the flat panel, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So the preferred is lap panel, not standing seam.
No. He's requesting R-lock standing seam, and what we usually approve is H-lock
Okay.
flat panel.
So, okay, when I look at the guidelines, there's nothing about R-lock.
I know it's different terminology and stuff, but R-lock is standing seam.
So it falls in the category of true standing seam according to the matrix here? Okay.
That's what I understand.
If you go
Okay.
to your, here,
That's why I ask you as the roofing expert.
roofing material, if you go to, mine's on page 40 in my book, it talks about the different kinds, goes
Right.
across.
And the only thing that it really kind of says is really not appropriate is these lap panel options.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't always understand what is and isn't in that category, but if you're saying, then what you're saying here, it says that true standing seams are appropriate for all of the potential uses that you might want residentially to use it for, is what I'm seeing here.
Yes, true standing seam goes straight down is
Is it-
yes,
yes is-
everyone, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Just so I can make sure everybody's clear, the metal roofing that the applicant is requesting is not true standing seam.
Right.
Okay.
It's lap panel, yeah.
It's lap, it
It's
is
a lap
lap
panel.
It
panel.
is lap?
I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
yeah,
Did I misunderstand? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it is lap panel.
Yeah, and lap panels still, for residential says no, but has an asterisk.
Right.
and then commercial maybe. Do you have that, Randy?
Yeah.
Yes. I've
Okay, you
it
got
in
that?
mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then some maybes.
Thank you.
I think the guidelines do state that it may be appropriate for some new construction, so.
It's not considered appropriate for most existing residential structures. It may be appropriate on some commercial buildings,
Commercial.
some ancillary buildings, and some new construction, without specifying what that means, or what types under there fall under that.
And as stated, he said if we have a problem with it, he would go
Right.
to the
So, but
shingles.
May I continue? In the very next paragraph, since the Eureka Springs Historic District is so eclectic, lat panel steel and other types of roofing materials not listed, as well as roofing color and pattern, will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis by the HDC using the following criteria. Number one, consistency with the historic fabric of the surrounding neighborhood. Number two, consistency in appearance with the architectural style of the structure. Three, documented proof that this material resembles the original roofing, which doesn't apply here.
Right.
And in this neighborhood, it's all new, nothing's old in this neighborhood.
And he makes the point that the surrounding houses are modern construction. So,
And the two
as
houses-
on a case-by-case basis, these are criteria that we can apply.
Right.
and the two pictures of the houses we have in our packet, that they look like just asphalt shingle roofs. I mean,
Oh, they are.
yeah.
We had a site visit back there years and years ago. Okay, any other questions or discussion?
So we are approving asphalt shingle roof
Instead of.
instead of,
So that's the motion, is the alternative material? Okay.
this is
If that's
requested.
what you want to correct, yeah.
Yes, I would. Should we make a motion on that or not?
Yeah, you need to correct it if that's what you want to do. We need to,
I need to go back.
you need to, Kyle needs to take away his second, and Maggie, you changed the motion. Kyle, do you remove your second?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I move that the Historic District Commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the work at 3 Dairy Hollow Road as amended to a shingle roof.
Now I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Steve, you're doing it? Okay.
Okay.
Maggie made the motion, Steve seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you have a public comment about this application?
I'm sorry, I didn't, well, come ahead and come to the mic. Didn't.
So I noticed this just a few
I
days-
need you to
Can
state
you
your
hear me?
name and address.
My name is Kimberly Clark, and I live at 900 Pivot Rock Road.
Okay?
And I just noticed this a day or two, and I walked that in the neighborhood there with Carroll House Apartments and Swiss Villa, and there's a road that comes right, would be up against this piece of property. It's a dirt road where a lot of city people park when they're doing work for the Cape, whatever. And we have such a huge crisis in this town for affordable housing that, and Pivot Rock is getting gentrified by the day with $55,000 lots and $269,000 1,000-foot, 900-foot houses. And I just think that there's some responsibility, and I see it in many towns, and especially in historic areas, to take some in what are the needs of the people in the town. So I don't have anything against these people or what they're doing, or what I want to say is that as a commission to keep doing this and then not look at the affordable housing issue and the crisis with our homeless people, to me is just really irresponsible. And the economic development can't, and we did this piece in Echo Village, and it's half done. I mean, there's just so much here that it's like, who's not looking? And now the city has lots that could be used for affordable housing. The federal government has a program to provide $15,000 for people to build a house. The one that got built on Wall Street, that was a part of this self-help housing. But the time gets spent with things like this that seem to me to be really disturbing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to raise one more.
Well, we're
Question.
in the middle.
Are
Just
we
a
done?
moment.
Okay.
We voted, so Maggie made the motion, Steve seconded, and the motion carried 5-0. Now, what did you want to talk about, Randy?
Standard procedure for construction says that if the pitch of a roof is less than 3 and 12, you need to use a continuous material for the roof. Now, that may not be code in every place, but it is standard construction practice that because you get water intrusion that can creep back up underneath the shingles. So I'm not trying to reverse anything that we just did. I just want you to be aware that you can have some real water issues if you put a shingle roof on a 2 by 12, 2 and 12.
Yes, I built this house basically in 2017 for myself, but I was outside the historical district, so I used metal roof. I don't know how this part of Pivot Rock got in the historical district to start with. As you mentioned, there's a apartment complex across the street, which we just went a lot over. There's nothing that I can see from 62 up to the city limits out on Pivot Rock that's historical. And if you do the standing seam, your costs go up considerable. And so, yeah, I will talk to my roofer about
Yeah. It's
asphalt.
just a guideline that I'm aware of
Yeah.
from construction principles, so I would
We're gonna
I
move
would
on.
raise that.
And if you do need to change materials or something, just come back to us, okay? Or talk to Kylie, I guess is what you really need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
On consent agenda items, we had none. The administrative approvals are 7, and they're all listed on the website under the agenda. Commissioner business, approval of minutes from October 20th, 2021. Did everyone see them? So I need a motion. I need a motion and
I make a motion to approve the minutes of October 20th, 2021.
Second.
I'll make sure that you...
Judy made the motion. Steve seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. I'm just counting to see if I needed to vote because I was here. Okay. And Maggie was absent, so she's abstaining. Discussion of vote justification. Did you guys give that any thought? Any comments?
I like the guidelines we came up with where a person has amount of time to ask after the meeting, and also I think the other option of the chair having an option at the meeting that asks for justification. So either option.
Well, the only thing I thought about was a no vote if it comes down to, that says no, we don't pass it. When you vote no, you need to kind of justify and be sure there's guidelines that justify that vote. Because you can't just say no because you don't like it. I mean, we have to go by the guidelines, so we need to be sure that we can quote a guideline to support our no vote. And a yes vote, it pretty well says that you think it's going by the guidelines. I mean, I may interpret the guidelines different than Steve, and,
I also had additional thought about this, thinking about it the other day. Additional benefit to this is if we do we go through this process, and someone does vote no, and I, as commissioner, would like to know what their thinking is. Did I miss something? Is there some point they hit that I didn't hit? And I might learn from that, to go, oh, I didn't think about that angle of it before, or that justification. So I'd learn, but if we just, everybody votes yes, no, and then we walk away, I never know usually why someone votes no. So, or even yes. I mean, it's nice to hear what people are thinking, to say, this is my justification, this is what I'm thinking here. So I think there's a lot of positives to doing it. I don't think we need to do it every time,
No, I don't think so either.
but I think it, at times, and I think it's justification and clarification for everybody, including especially the applicant, to understand why we came to that conclusion. And it's transparency. It's saying, I didn't vote no because I'm your neighbor, or I know you, or I like you, or I don't like you. I'm voting no because the guideline
It doesn't
says
follow
this, this, and this. This is why I'm voting. So instead of just leaving it closed door and saying, okay, that's why I voted.
And usually during the discussion, a lot of times you guys quote from the guidelines and say, but our guidelines say this, this, and this, too.
I have to admit, I've been surprised sometimes the questioning some of the commissioners have, and then they turn around and vote. They actually get opposite of what I thought they were going to vote.
Well,
I was like,
and-
oh, okay.
That's true.
If, I always am committed to being willing and prepared to explain why I voted a particular way. I didn't quote any guidelines a little while ago when I voted no on that first one. I don't know that I need to, but I do think that we sometimes just want to hear it from each other. What were you thinking? I think that is a good point, and I don't know that it means that we need to default to an explanation every time.
No, I don't think
So I
so
don't know what
every
the answer-
time.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer would be, but in a way, if the applicant wants to know, I think that they should request it. But if we want to know, because of what we're thinking, I don't know how we do that, because we
Well,
can't.
after the meeting, after we've voted,
You can talk.
we can talk to
Oh,
each other after
Because
the
it's a-
vote, because
a
it's
post
done.
facto- Okay.
But it means I'm chasing Randy down the parking lot going, Randy.
I'm used to that, yeah.
But we can talk to each other then.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's
say,
right.
hey, why did you,
I forgot that, yeah.
yeah,
Right. After the vote's done, we could talk about it.
yeah.
But I think it's good education. It's like, why did you
It's
vote?
really.
So who, like if we take, sometimes as chair, when I'm chair, I'm like, oh, we need a roll call. You just have a sense that this should be a roll call vote. So if we do that, so you're saying then, like if we do 4 noes and it doesn't pass, then, was it Randy, I think last time said, wait a couple of days, or
Give
20,
them 72 hours.
72
The
hours?
applicant.
To request.
The applicant
request.
can request. I think the applicant stood right there and said, I'd like to know why you all voted that way. I think we're obligated to tell them then. But I think if they goes home and go, I really don't understand what happened here, can I ask for an explanation of why each person voted the way they voted? I think that's fine too, because don't forget, these people are on the spot. A lot of people aren't used to public speaking. A lot of people are so nervous when they come to that
Yeah.
point. So give them that option later is a good one. But also, I think part of the role as the chair is to say, I need to make sure everything is really clear here when this goes away, because if this does go to legal action or something, we need to make sure everything's really documented on why we did what we did.
So do we have Kylie, and that's, because the one time that we were asked, Glennis came back and at the moment and said, why did you do that? So like at that meeting, do we tell Kylie right then, or do you want to wait 72 hours? How do we
I think
handle
we have
that?
the two options. The applicant themselves can within, what did we say, a week?
He said 72 hours.
So-
Of what,
I just pulled that number
I'd
out
say a
of
week.
a week? What do
The
you think,
applicant has
Kylie?
option is a week.
I mean, the timeline doesn't matter to me. My one concern would be having to ensure that I get a response. Like, it would be very easy to just ghost that email that I would send and not respond, either because you don't want to or you miss it. So that's my only hesitation with having that after the fact, and then it's also not on record at the meeting.
Well, that's true.
And
Then
really,
it's not on record.
when you make your vote, you should know why you made that vote. So you should be able to justify it right after the vote is made.
So two things. Number one, I accept as my responsibility to respond to that. So it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have a headache, and I hear what you're saying. But in a way, if I don't respond, that's on me, and I deserve to be held accountable for that. But what was the second thing? Oh, it's
Not on record.
Not on
it's
record.
not on record.
on
Yeah,
record.
I don't know what I mean, in a way, if we responded with email and it were somehow made public, then is there a way to do that solves that, or it's not broadcast like we?
Well, all of our emails to Kylie can be FOI'd. I mean, every email, that's why we're not supposed to talk to each other, because the public has the right of all of our communications back and forth to Kylie to know what we say to her.
I think the one thing with doing it in a public forum is it's not only educating the applicant, but it's educating the general public as well. So if they had a similar project, they can kind of keep an eye on how other projects are going and learn from that, and kind of understand the process of decision-making a little bit more.
So maybe it is appropriate in real time to let applicants ask that here in this forum, with the caveat that our response is our response. It's not, we're not here to defend it. We're here to explain it,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Well-
nothing more than that.
I think they need to be aware that they have the right to ask.
And also in the past, when something has failed, we, as the table, we all pretty well agreed without talking to each other how we voted and why. And then we say, well, if you would do this, we kind of help them before we leave, we try to help them with other
Also, there may be
possibilities.
something that passes
Yeah.
that's just really unusual, and that we know will bring up some red flags of people, that we passed this and we turned down similar situations before, applications before. So it's not just turning down stuff, it could be just anybody saying, I like to know your justification for you saying yes on this,
Well, and a lot of these, like here on the roofing material, it says we can do case by case. It's not just black and white always in the
Right.
guidelines. Certain things we can do a case by case. It's not just, the guideline says that, because like this house tonight, it's in a different, complete area, so it's a case by case, I think, in that neighborhood.
Yes.
So do we need a motion to make a procedural change? Is that all that it takes?
Yeah.
I move we change our procedure for, after votes, either the chair can request, what's it called, explanation or
Well, but
justification,
we're talking about on just
rationale?
controversial ones, right?
Right.
Because we don't want everything we vote on, well, how come you voted that way?
And that would be the chair's prerogative.
That or Kylie's, either one? I mean, I think,
Let me start over.
I don't want that.
oh, you don't want that? Okay.
I think it should be at the chair's discretion, or if the applicant
Okay.
requests it immediately following the vote.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll back up. I move that we change our procedure and allow the chair or the applicant themselves to ask for a roll call explanation of your justification for each vote on a particular application.
And that is during the meeting and at the end of the meeting, they have forfeited that right. We're not talking about,
Right.
okay. I second.
I'm trying to write. Did you get all of that, Kylie?
He wants to be really quiet.
I think so. So the motion is to change the procedure to allow the chair or applicant to request a justification of a vote
Immediately.
From each commission.
immediately following that vote.
Right. From each commission.
Yeah.
Roll call from each commission, I guess.
Okay. Any other discussion on this before we vote? Steve made the motion, Randy seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next one, discussion of application requirements. Marty's the one who asked for this last time. She's not
I
here.
move that we put that on the next agenda then.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Steve made the motion, Randy seconded to move this to next time's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, agenda setting for November 17th, 2021 meeting. Anything you guys want to put on?
Let them know.
Okay. Our next meeting will be November 17th, 2021. Level 3 applications are due Thursday, November 4th, 2021. Level 2 applications due Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. Public comments, but the auditorium looks empty, so I guess we have no public comments. Okay, commissioner comments. Randy?
Nothing from me.
Judy?
No comment?
Maggie?
Just it's always a learning experience for me. And the explanations, just like we had on these two items, is really important to me.
True. Kyle?
No comment.
Steve?
I think that's important that we keep evolving, and as we see need, as we see a need or people tell us there's a need, so keep evolving. So I think we're doing really good.
And I just made a note the other night. We're doing a lot of changing. I know change is hard sometimes for us and for the public, and I think we're doing good, and I think Kylie's doing a good job, and she's still new and getting her feet wet, but I'm excited for what she's doing and what we're doing. So I think a little patience, but let's just all remember change is hard, and let's all just take a second to think about that. Director comments.
My comment is, I don't know if any of you have been watching the Past Forward conference. You were all signed up for it. You should have gotten an email. You can always still log in after and watch some of the sessions. There were some really interesting sessions, particularly about sustainability, climate change. There was a really cool one on Windows. So I've learned a lot, and I encourage you all to check that stuff out too.
I watched one so far, and then they told me I could go back, so I waited. I took advantage of the sunshine today and went and worked in the storage units for Main Street Preservation Society. Okay, any other comments? Adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Steve made the motion, Randy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0.